Well, we're here again on a beautiful day. I don't know how to start this podcast without saying the same things over and over, so I'm trying to just randomly get into it. Oh boy, what a week, guys. What a week. Sometimes it's all fun and games, and sometimes you run into, you live life and you run into obstacles and things, and it's been a it's been a tough week. It's been a fun week, rough week, weird week. Uh who knows? There's a lot of words that could describe it. Not just week, but last month. Um, but we're here, we're doing it, and thanks for joining us here today, the weekly daily podcast with me, Ben Dailey. Thanks for tuning in. I'm feeling self conscious about my hair. I just put in some what do you call it? Leave-in conditioner. You guys familiar with this product? Leave-in conditioner. Never heard of it before. Just got some recently. Sorry, I'm brushing my eyes. I've got eyelashes just falling out of my face right now. But yeah, if you're watching the video, let me know. Does it look? I don't. I'll be honest with you guys. I got one of the first, pretty much the first, real haircut, like actual legitimate haircut in a long time. And I've talked about it before. I fought it for the longest time. I said, no, dude, you don't need that. It doesn't look any better. Why am I going to pay extra money? And you know what? Last Sunday, 1 week ago to the day, I went to Floyd's barbershop. Floyd's 99. I don't know. It's some local chain, I think. I don't know if it's outside of Denver or if it's just local to Denver, but it's like a barbershop that's better than Great Clips. There's an easy way to put it. I cut my hair a couple times in the last few months. I've also been in the habit of going to Great Clips to get kind of my professional, or so I called it, haircut. And before that, I mean, genuinely, I just my entire life I've paid next to nothing for haircuts. I've cut my hair a lot myself, and I went to Floyd's and got the haircut, and you go, wow, they do know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they didn't cut my hair and tell me that things were complete and over after 90 seconds. Which, I don't know if you guys have gotten a haircut in 90 seconds, but that's not a complete haircut. They're missing some stuff. So, went and did that. That was good. You could tell just they had different tools that I'd never seen be pulled out before. Great Clips, they're just like clippers, scissors, a couple snips, and you're done. Get out of here. But Floyd's, different. They did the fade or the taper, whatever you call it. Here's what was funny. I went in there and I said, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. I said, I'll have a 0 faded up to a 1 on the sides and the back. And she goes, you sure you want a 0? That's going to be too short. And I said, well, you tell me. You're the expert. She goes, you're going to want to go with 1. And she did it, and it looks great. And I was like, oh, wow. It's so nice to have somebody who's like, you're going to look stupid. I would recommend you not go with that. Because at the end of the day, I don't even know what it's like. You just cut my hair how it looks good to you. Honestly, is what I should start saying. Just go to a legitimate barber and ask them to do that. But that was good. They cut my hair, did a little fade, and then cut the top. They had a little layer thing where it's like it's like scissors, but I think it just like cuts some of the hair, not all of it. I don't know how tools work at the barbershop, okay? But then did like the shaving cream on the neck and shaved it and wiped it off with a warm towel, and boy, that did feel good. It is a weird thing where you're like, that's like such a little tiny thing, but it does make the haircut feel like a complete thing. You're like, oh, I did the full makeover. Not only the haircut, but they put shaving cream on my neck and a warm towel. And you go, that's basically a spa day in my book. But did that, and then they sold me on some leave-in conditioner, which again, I don't know I think you just apply it. It's kind of, I guess, like I don't think it's a gel. I think it's just like it makes your hair look maybe a little wet and soft. I don't know. As I said that out of my mouth right there, that did not sound like a product you would want to buy. I would not be a good salesperson for that product. Be like, dude, you know what? This product is going to make your hair look wet, and you should give me $20 for it. But I got that. Put it in. Let me know what you think. If you're watching the video, let me know. I don't know what I'm doing with my hair or with fashion or with anything, if I'm being honest with you guys. But that was on Sunday. Got that haircut. Feel good. It's been a man. It's been a week. It's been a week. Yeah. I don't even know. Life happens quick, you know. The last 5 years doing comedy has been incredible. Still doing it. Still pursuing it. Still working towards it. Still doing shows and stuff. And but the last month I have not been doing as many open mics. I've been kind of just dealing with some stuff that's taking precedent over comedy at the moment. Just trying to figure my life out, you know. You guys ever do that? Just you're in limbo for a bit. You're just kind of on pause for a bit because you're just dealing with life. You're just, you know, and sometimes you got to do that. And up until this point, I had put comedy first, and kind of anything that came in the way of that, I was like, But yeah, now it's time to. I'm still doing plenty of comedy, but I haven't had as many shows over the last couple of weeks, and haven't really been going to open mics. So, anyways, I don't know. I'm talking in very cryptic messages here, very vague. It's okay. It's not a public thing I want to say publicly. It's just I'm fine. I'm okay. This is not a cry for help. But you know, just dealing with some stuff, trying to work through it, and yeah, we will. We shall overcome. Isn't that a song? Is it a church song or a song from like some Navy ship where a guy during war wrote it, like the Star Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key? Is that who wrote it? I don't know. I'm just saying names and words that come to my head because I need to fill 45 minutes for this podcast. I mean, 90% of the stuff I say on here is just like whatever's coming to my mind, say it. And then the last 10%, I'm like, all right, let's talk about the shows that I did and have some sort of direction. But yeah, got the haircut, and also went shopping. Got some new clothes and shoes. Trying to level up my wardrobe game. Went to the mall in Centennial. Nice mall down there, Park Meadows. Haven't been to the mall in a while. Not a big mall fan. Yeah, not that I'm not a fan of malls. It's just, you know, it's a lot of people. It's busy. It's chaotic. It's expensive. But went and got a new pair of jeans, some black jeans. Don't have any of those, so that'll be a nice addition to the collection. Got some t-shirts. Got some new shoes, some New Balance, which are white with a little bit of forest green in there. So excited for that. We'll see if that levels my game up. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm ready to test it out and see if version 2 Ben is on the brink of emerging. We'll find out. But yeah, that was so went to the mall. The mall is, gosh, what a place, dude. What a place. Going to the mall as an adult is strange because everywhere you go, I mean, first off, it's like a bunch of younger kids, which makes sense. But not only that, it's like all of the people that work there are like teenagers too. So if you actually need something, a lot of the time you're just like, dude, you guys are morons. There was actually a funny I went to Chipotle, and it was kind of funny. It was one of those things where you're like just tired. I had just worked out and was getting some Chipotle, and I was in line. I walked up, and the teenager at the register before I even like opened my mouth, she goes, "We're closed." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. All right." And she goes, "Just kidding. Gotcha." And I was like, "You did. You got me." Pretty funny. And honestly, it was kind of funny. Just, I mean, it wasn't like a malicious thing. It's just if you work at Chipotle and she was probably 30 minutes from the end of her shift, and she's just like, "Here's some disheveled man walking up. Let's zing him. Let's get him." And she got me, and I thought it was kind of funny. And I ordered. I said, "Are you closed or are you not closed?" And she's like, "We're not closed." I was like, "Give me some beans and rice and chicken and lettuce. No guac. Never guac. You think I'm paying extra money for guac? That's crazy. You're insane." But walked around there. Honestly, I learned a lot of new stores. Not familiar with, went to a place called Tilly's. Never heard of that. That's like I don't even know, like a PacSun type kind of, I think Tilly's is where I got the shoes that I got, maybe. The New Balances. I don't like every store there. I didn't really realize this. Basically, like, not every store, but a lot of stores have a little shoe section. So if you're looking for a pair of shoes, we went to like 6 different shops. And it's not like, okay, I get it if you're like, okay, Vans. Vans has Vans shoes. Or I don't know if there was a Nike or Adidas or whatever. Like if the actual brand is there, you're like, oh, this place has these shoes. Like Nike, the Nike store has Nike shoes. That makes sense. But like Tilly's and Zoomies, and there was like a Shoe Palace, and then a Foot Locker, and then and Foot Locker makes it. That's like more of, okay, that's just a shoe store. But there's a bunch of like clothing stores or stores that sell more clothing. They would have a very small shoe section. And all of these, it's like, they've just got like different styles of the same shoes in all these stores of New Balance, Nike, all these things, which I don't know. I was just kind of like, what is happening? This is weird. And then back to my point, these aren't really shoe stores, but they have shoes, but there's no real section to like, there's not much of a space to try the shoes on, and you have to really chase people down to go get shoes for you, so you feel kind of like you're in the way or like being obnoxious. And then it's just, some 18-year-old who's like, "I don't care." Where did I go? It was, it might have been Zoomies. Went there, I was looking at some New Balance. And the guy, there's a million people in there. And there's like 2 people working. They're both teenagers. And you're just like, "Hey, can I get this shoe size?" And there's literally, the guy was just like, I don't think that we have that size." And I'm like, "Okay, you don't think you do, or do you want to go check to make sure?" Like, how do you want me to respond to that? You want to just be like, "I'm not sure that we have that," and have me be like, "Okay, thank you. I'm leaving the store." I was kidding. I didn't want shoes. I just wanted you to bring them out so I could smell them and then send them back. But yeah, I got multiple people who did that. I don't know if he did it, but a couple other people where I go, "All right, can I get a 9.5 in this shoe?" And then they come back with multiple boxes. Like this other guy, he came back with multiple boxes. He goes, "Hey, we don't have a 9.5, but here's a 10.5. Do you want to try that?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to spend $100 for a shoe that doesn't fit my foot." And then on the other hand, he's like, "Here's a 9.5, but like in just a completely different shoe." And not only was it a completely different shoe, it was the shoe that I was looking for was like a pretty vanilla. It was a pretty bland color, I guess. It was like white, and then maybe had some accent colors, but it wasn't anything crazy. He literally brought me just the whole shoe. It was mustard color. And I was like, "Bro, it's not even the same shoe, and it's like a very aggressively different color. What are you doing? Who is your sales trainer?" Which, look, I'm in sales. I've worked in sales most of my life. Am I great at it? No. Look, I'm not trying to get on my high horse. I'm not any better than most people. But now that I say that, I'm actually going to say I'm much better than these teenagers, which makes sense given that I've been working in sales for quite a while. So hopefully I would be better. But it's just it is funny to be an older adult and then to be able to see like younger people that don't have the skill set to like just communicate, let alone sell you something, and to just kind of watch it and dissect like what they're doing and be like, this is crazy. You guys, like, honestly, just bring the shoes and don't say anything. That's better than what you're doing, which is, I don't know, like actively trying to not sell shoes. But I also noticed that too. I went to Orange Theory, tried out a free class at Orange Theory, which, if you guys aren't familiar, it's like a fitness class. I guess there's tons of, I mean, I think it's nationwide. It's a pretty popular chain, I guess. And it's basically like a close to an hour long class. And they've got treadmills and rower machines, and then like a little weight section where you do like a lot of very low weight, if any weight, and then I don't know what you call it, types of exercise like squats, and then like push up type things, and they have like these ropes or whatever that you lean back and can do kind of like stationary pull ups or things like that, and then you just rotate throughout. And I got there, and they do a free class for people who are considering the membership. So I went in there and I was like, I'm considering the membership. I looked at him and I said, wink, wink, I'm considering a membership. Can I do a free class? And you can see like right away they go into like sales mode, which is funny because you don't want to see somebody gear into sales mode. You want them to like, you want it to be like this natural organic thing where you don't feel immediately like, oh, they're trying to get me, like trying too hard. And so they're like acting really excited and giddy. And I told them my name and they wrote it down and I spelled it out. I spelled out my last name. I was like Dailey. And they're like, Dilly? And I was like, Dailey, Dailey. And they were like, Ben Dilly? And I was like, D for dog, A for apple, I for igloo, L for lake, E for echo, Y for a word with Y. And I mean, we went through this so many times, and they still didn't get it right, and I know that because they're like, we'll send you an email afterwards with all your stats and try to get you like signed up. Never got an email from them. So I don't know, what the deal is there, but Sales 101, learn the alphabet. Maybe that's a good starting point. But they were showing me the ropes, and it is a cool like doing classes. I haven't done many classes, and this was high intensity, like all within an hour time. I mean, you're working out for basically an hour straight with very limited breaks where you're just shifting from one station to the next. But it was it was kind of funny because everybody has like a heart rate monitor, and they have TV screens there that shows everybody's heart rate that's in the class. So there's like 8 people in the class, which is, I think, a pretty small amount typically, but it was the last class of the day. And the whole thing about Orange Theory, I think, is like trying to be in the orange for, I think, more time than the other levels. And the orange is like, I think it goes like green, yellow, orange, red, maybe. So green is like your heart rate's not that high, yellow a little bit higher, orange is like a good, I think, fat burning or like cardio level, and then red is like you're almost maxing out. And so they have those up on the TV so everybody can see them at all times. Like people are keeping track of this to be like, where am I? And you can also see it like on your the treadmills and the row machines also have like screens on there, and you like click your name when you get on there, so it tracks like all your mileage and heart rate and everything like that. So you can see that because you're bouncing back and forth. So you're like signing into the treadmill, get on, and then leaving, and then coming back, and then you can see by the end of the day your total amount that you've run or whatever. And I've just been I've been stressed and I've been anxious and just a lot of things that I think are getting my heart rate up a little bit higher than uh, usual. And I run quite a bit. Like I feel like I'm in pretty good cardio shape, but I was running at a pretty normal pace and my heart, I mean, I was in like the red like the whole time. I thought the instructor was going to come over and be like, "Hey, new guy, you need to chill down a little bit." Which was also weird cuz I didn't feel like crazy. I was like running and was like, this is a normal warm up, like literally warming up, going like 9.5 mile pace. And just immediately I'm in like the red zone. I was like, oh boy. And they don't even, not only do they have the zone, like green, yellow, orange, red, they also have a percentage of, I think like percentage of heart rate that you should be at. So like, you get up to red and then I think red is maybe like 90 to 100% of what your heart rate should be. I was on the treadmill, it was like 100, 101, 102%. Like I was over 100% and I was like, this I don't think I'm supposed to be at this point. But it was fine. I think I was in like the 180s, which, I run all the time. I don't think 180 is crazy. But it was kind of funny to see like everybody else on the TV and all their heart rates and see everybody else not in red and then old Benny Boy just maxing out for whatever reason. But that was fun. It was a great workout. I was sore for days after just doing like a bunch of basic leg movements and stuff like that. Like I said, squats and just like no weight squats and then some sort of pelvic dumbbell thrust. I don't know what the things are called. But afterwards, they try to review the stats with you and then go through like a sales pitch. And yeah, it was just, I feel like I've rambled for long enough on whatever I'm talking about right now, but it's kind of funny to see like what I imagine are probably young 20-year-old kind of fitness coaches or people that are like really don't have the sales pitch down quite yet. And to be fair to them, they probably don't care. They're like, "Hey, we want to like fitness is important." You come in, they're like they have a little headset and they'll announce the switches and stuff. So they're actually doing the coaching during the session, which also makes sense, but it's a different setup cuz any classes I've done in the past, if I've done any, it's like yoga or something like that where you're in there, the instructor's like, do this, everybody does that. Whereas this was like loud music's playing, and then there's people moving in different sections at different times. So it was a little more chaotic, but it was fun. It's a good time. Check them out, Orange Theory. Leave them a 5-star review. Kind of expensive. Not that I'm not familiar with or used to class pricing. I haven't looked into that. And so I think it was like $80 for a class a week, which is $20 a class, which is kind of expensive. But if you are, if you're looking to do something that's really, what's the correct word? Just really fast paced, burns a lot of calories, gets a good workout in a short amount of time, efficient, effective. Here are words that come to mind when I think about Orange Theory. But that's what it was. It was good. And I don't know. It might be good to implement some sort of class in, do some running every other day, and then some sort of more intense workout. But we'll see. I'm trying to get there little by little. I don't even know how I started on that. I was talking about haircuts and then the mall, I guess is what I talked about. Then Orange Theory and the salespeople. Yeah. So the salespeople, they did not sell me on it. Also, Sales 101, like I said, get the correct email. If you don't have a good email, then you can't really send information, and that's where the conversation can stop from there. But that was on when was that? Wednesday, maybe? Tuesday? Monday? It was earlier in the week. And then the crazy part of the week, typical Colorado, Wednesday comes around, and Wednesday night get uh got how much? Like a foot and a half or 2 feet of snow. So most of this week, up until today, has been kind of just sitting in my apartment and not doing a ton, feeling a little restless, little cuckoo, little crazy, little insane in the membrane, if you know what I'm saying. And that was when it started Wednesday night, went through Thursday. Um, yeah, real heavy, wet snow. I mean, typical Colorado again. I had a comedy show on Friday, and the roads were fine. I mean, the roads were probably okay Thursday evening, maybe. I mean, it snowed like all day, but I feel like the main roads were not affected as much. Whenever it's a heavy wet snow, I feel like it melts easier on the roads, especially because the temperature was like 35 degrees or something like that. But yeah, did a show on Friday. Did a Don't Tell show hosted at a hotel, which I've done a couple times before. It's in like a meeting room of a hotel here locally. A little bit lighter crowd than usual, probably due to the snow, but it was still a decent sized crowd, and it was it was fine. I feel like the last two Don't Tell shows I've hosted, I can't remember if I talked about the Don't Tell show from last week. I think I did. Yeah, I did. But they were similar in the sense that, plenty of people there. They're there to have a good time. And I just really, I wouldn't even call it bombing because I felt fine for both of these shows, including this one last Friday. I felt fine. I'm up there. I'm like, they're not on board yet. They're not really giving me much of a response, but I'm fine being goofy and silly and doing the jokes. I'm not rattled inside, which is a good feeling. But also, as a host, you want to bring the show up and you want it to do as well as possible. So I was very much trying to make that happen. Um, and at the end of the day, it was fine. It was a pretty tight crowd. They got better, but yeah, a tighter crowd compared to a lot of the shows that I've been to or done. But this couple in the front was funny. It was like a lot of people are not laughing, but this couple in the very front were losing their mind. I mean, they were obviously on some kind of drug or had drank a bunch of alcohol. I don't know. They were giggling at everything. Like, I would just say, not a joke. You're just saying whatever, and you're just hearing them like hold their laugh in and then just let it out like a little kid trying not to laugh in class. And so that was, I appreciate people like that, but also it was a little distracting to be like, all right, guys, what are you doing? Do I need to be like, thank you for laughing, but also you're being distracting? I did not have to do that, fortunately. I did not want to have to deal with nothing, no problemos. But it was fine. That was the show I did Friday. Did not do any comedy in between that show and the previous Friday. So I've been, like I said, just busy and occupied with some other stuff, trying to sort through some life situations, scenarios, whatever you want to call it. But do need to get back into the routine of writing and getting out, testing out new material, and working through stuff. I do have a comedy festival coming up at the beginning of May, and then also doing a run of shows in mid-May as well. And just want to, continue building out the material and building out the set and making the current set tighter, adding new jokes, just getting it better in general. And I've talked about it before, it's been a couple months since I feel like I've come out with like a good bit. And I just feel a little creatively in a rut. And not only that, but yeah, the last couple weeks has just been kind of chaos, and haven't been writing as much, haven't been going to really many open mics, but that's okay. Like I said, been doing this 5 years. This is one of the first times, if not the first time, that I'm kind of like, all right, you gotta sort things out. You can't have comedy be your number one priority the rest of your life. It can be like a top priority that you're focused on, but like there may be times where, hey, for a couple weeks I need to prioritize some other stuff, and that's what I'm doing. Trying to do that. But yeah, let me this is, I don't know if you're this might give away, this might concern some people, but you know what? I'm fine. The way that I set that up, that was a little aggressive. I'm fine. But like I said, the last week I've been very stressed. And again, I'm sorry for being people, if you're listening to this and you're like, this is obnoxious that you're just vaguely talking about things but not being specific. I'm sorry. I'll get to it later at some point when the time is right. But just know I'm stressed due to life things and anxious. And I didn't realize that. I mean, it makes sense when you're stressed and stuff that your heart rate will go up, but I didn't get a lot of sleep one night, and so I was very tired, but I'm also very stressed. So I feel like my heart rate was probably up, but I wasn't even thinking about that. So I haven't been drinking coffee, but I do have this this electrolyte caffeine product called Noon, which I usually will have after running. But this day I did not run. I just used it. I just drank it to get some caffeine to try to wake me up. And I just felt crazy anxious, which made me realize, because I think I talked about it maybe last week on the pod or the week before that. I talked about reintroducing coffee for a day or two and feeling like very anxious and bad, which makes sense. If it's like, okay, I think I've just been very stressed, and adding this caffeine on top of that is just, it's making it worse rather than being like in a healthy non-stress state and having caffeine like a normal person and being like, all right, this gives me a little pick me up. So that's good to know, because I was like, I've had coffee all my life and I cut it out for a couple months, and now that I'm coming back to it, is it like a problem now? No, I think it's just because I was stressed. But I say that to say that I felt very anxious after having that electrolyte caffeine tablets. I had 2 of them. I think they're 50 milligrams a piece, so I think it was 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is what, 1 or 2 cups of coffee. I don't think it's anything too crazy, but I felt very uncomfortable and anxious. And I put my I have a GPS watch for running, which also has a bunch of other features, including like a heart rate. You can just put the heart rate on and see where it's at. And I was doing that to just kind of track, like, is my heart rate up? And it was up quite a bit. And there were multiple periods. I was at Target. I was shopping at Target. I was in line, and I peeked out just standing still in line at Target. There wasn't a fight happening around me. It was honestly like kind of during the snowstorm when there were hardly any people in the Target. So I looked at my watch and it was 137, my heart rate, which was like, that feels aggressive. That doesn't feel right. And then when I'm walking the groceries in from Target, after that, I'm just walking them from my car inside. I'm not running. It's not a ton of bad. I'm just, just walking in. I was at 152. And by the way, it's funny too. I mean, that's kind of scary, but it's all good. Just, I'm not going to have a bunch of caffeine on top of, especially if I'm very stressed. Feel much better now. Again, it's fine. We're good. We're going to get through it. But on my watch, it would say, once you hit a certain threshold, I was just like sitting still in Target, and it's like 137 heart rate, anaerobic exercise. It's telling me like, you must be in the middle of a jog right now. And I was like, I am not. I wish that I was. But again, to go back to the Orange Theory stuff that I was talking about, can't remember if I had caffeine that day. I don't think I did. But yeah, I was like, oh, wow. This truly is, as you get older, something you have to be very careful of. People just like, you can't allow yourself to be in a stressed state of mind for too long, because it can just be very unhealthy. Like, that's how people have strokes and what I mean. I'm not a doctor. I don't know exactly if that's how strokes happen, but that's how bad things happen if you just like allow yourself to be in a tensed up state at all time. So look, it's okay. You got to go through those states sometimes, and I'm getting through it now. Uh, but yeah, you want to be, I guess, conscious and cognizant of not allowing that to be like, hey, I've been like, if that was how work was making me feel, and I'm like 5 years into a job where I'm just like maxed out stressed, dude, I wouldn't make it 5 years. I probably wouldn't make it a year if it was like, I probably wouldn't make it 6 months. I'm just going down to like, I couldn't handle anything at work. But I did get, I got some gear at Target while I was there, in preparation for the snowstorm. We were getting, a bunch of emails and text and just notifications, news stories of like, hey, this is going to be really bad. Make sure you have the supplies. And I wasn't too worried about like food stuff, or like the fact that I wouldn't have access to food for a long period of time. It was more so like, if the power goes out, do you have a flashlight? So I got like a flashlight, little lantern thing. I got a candle and batteries. That's mostly it. Nothing super interesting. I did want to get some sporting cards as a little treat at Target, like a little set of basketball cards or something. But they didn't have any, which was frustrating. Which I usually don't get those. I collected them as a kid, and I was like, this will be something fun to get. And it wasn't fun because I couldn't get it. So, what can you do? You know, I'm really running out of steam here, guys. I'm trying my very best to be interesting, but I'm just being vaguely weird on this pod, and that's okay. It's my pod, and I'll be vaguely weird if I want to. But next week I do have some shows coming up that'll be fun. If you're in the Denver area, you should come check out. I'm gonna be at Avanti, which is like it's in Rhino or the Highlands in Denver. I'm not even sure what you would describe it as. I think it's a bar, but I think it's also like a multi-bar food type establishment where, I don't know what the correct word is, not kiosks, but I don't know. Check it out. Doing a comedy show there on Wednesday. Don't tell on Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be hosting Loonies at the end of the month, down in Colorado Springs, which will be fun. And yeah, just looking forward to getting back in the rhythm. I gotta just get back to that goofy, silly, creative mindset. And we're gonna get there, guys. We're gonna get there, and we're gonna do the thing. And I'm gonna be happy and not stressed. I'm gonna eat well, continue eating well, and we're gonna feel good. I'm gonna run. I've never felt more. I said it earlier, but I've never felt more with doing the podcast. Like, I'm just trying to say any word that comes to my mind. I mean, I'm looking at the table that this camera is set up on, and I'm just like, there's a candle. Talk about a candle. There's peanuts. Talk about dry roasted peanuts. There's a empty water bottle. Let's talk about water. There's trash. There's a hat. I don't know. PlayStation 5, playing that. It's been a strange week, guys. And like I said, I'm fine. It's just, I don't know about you guys. I know for myself that when I'm going through periods that are stressful, and very much on my mind, I can't, and I think this is probably common with a lot of people, but I don't know how much if it affects other people quite to this extent, at least the majority of people, but I just can't focus on like anything else. Like it's been hard. I've been distracted working for my job. Comedy, haven't really thought a ton about that as far as writing new jokes and going out to mics and stuff like that. Um, and I wish I was better at just balancing. Like you have some stress or whatever, and you go, all right, that's over here. That's okay. I'm going to focus on the other stuff and we'll deal with the stressful stuff when it comes up. Uh, but I'm not great at that. I think I've very much grown up. Any stress that I had, I would just block it out and pretend that it wasn't there until it became like an emergency, and then I'd have to deal with it real quick. But I'd just deal with it real quick and then get rid of it. And so I don't want to say that I'm like. I feel like I'm a normal person under normal stressful situations as far as just day to day stuff, like at work or whatever. If you're getting a bunch of phone calls, whatever, like, yeah, that's stress that comes and goes in that moment. Like once you're off for the day, like that's out of my mind. I'm not concerned about it. But stuff that's just like longer term things where it's not like, hey, here's a stressful thing that came up at 2 p.m. today and it was gone by 3 p.m. Stuff where you're like, yeah, this is a part of my life that what am I saying, guys? What am I saying? I don't know. I'm just gonna awkwardly speak for the next 3 minutes of this podcast, shut it off, upload it, get 2 views, and just reset next week with a more positive attitude and funnier, goofier riffs and rafts. Yeah, I don't have a bunch more going on. I feel like I burnt through everything. I haven't been doing as much comedy, so I don't have as much to talk about. I was stuck inside, um, like I said, for most of the week with the snow and kind of just hanging at home. So other than watching like Netflix and just some pretty generic stuff, not a whole lot going on. Did that shopping, got some new shoes, pants, shirts, did the Orange Theory, maxed out my heart rate like a crazy person. Went to the mall again, like I said, was shopping. Where else did I go in the mall? I don't know a lot of these mall places. I really don't. Like I don't know most of them. Where did we go? Went to, I didn't know Victoria's Secret. Well, I didn't go to Victoria's Secret. I'm just these places that you pass. You're like, okay, is this a new place or is this been around for 50 years? It's hard to tell. But it's also weird. It's also interesting going to a mall that's like thriving, and you're like, yeah, this is what it's doing. Well, I think most of malls across America are actively dying. So it's nice to go to one that's still hanging in there, where you can walk around and go, this place is alive. Because I imagine a lot of the places, especially in a little bit smaller areas, are just sad to walk through. If it's more than half vacant and there's just not many people in there. I mean, it's nice to not have a ton of people in there, but also if there's nobody in there, then the atmosphere just turns into kind of a sad vibe. And yeah, so Park Meadows, not that. Actually, I wish it was a little more of a sad vibe because parking was a nightmare. Okay, and we're talking about a massive parking lot in the suburbs of Denver. So it's not like downtown or anything. This is, dude, this is I mean, there's just so much parking surrounding this, but you're just going up and down these rows of parked cars. Like, can somebody back out, please? Can somebody please back out? But they don't all the time, and so you just gotta wait. You gotta roam around, and then you just gotta roam around this mall in Centennial Park Meadows. Did that? Went there a couple times to look at some shopping spots, and then went to brunch this morning at the French Press. I think that's what it's called. Here in my neck of the woods, near Hamden Ave. Pretty good. Got a 3-egg omelet with a side of hash browns. Back on the carbs. Feels good. Gonna run after this. Will the carbs help? I sure hope so. Boy, if you guys have made it this far into the episode, I mean, bless your hearts. Truly, bless your hearts. I'm all over the place. I'm bouncing around. I'm fine. Mom, don't, it's fine. But yeah, just a little scatterbrained. Don't have a ton of new stuff going on, and just it'll be better next week, guys. I promise. Okay, episode 50, whatever. After this one will be better. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Truly, apologies for being kind of all over the place, but trying to fit this in as I can. Trying to be, zing and zang, but wasn't fully there today. But we'll be back next week. We'll have a good time. We'll all party together. So yeah, thanks so much for making it this far. If you did, and I will see you guys again next week.